We did our homework, and we're here to tell you the best Commander cards to be buying right now, which is the month of October already?
I'm Mia, and I caught Concrete at MagicCon Atlanta.
I'm BZ. I'm perfectly healthy. We're moving soon. We're the Nitpicking Nerds, sponsored by Card Kingdom. Maybe you can't get through an ad read. Maybe you can't be healthy, but you can go get the magic cards that you've always wanted, to the cart you've always wanted, to the house you've always wanted. But if you're moving, make sure you use the new address.
Card Kingdom is the best place online to be buying and selling cards. All of the prices that you are going to see today are from Card Kingdom, so use our link in the description. Tell them we sent you, get all of your cards right there. We're also sponsored by Dragon Shield, best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
If you use the code
Nerds
at checkout, you could save 5% of your human tax dollars on your entire order, which includes all of the sleeves that you'll see listed below. Also, congrats to Dragon Shield for pairing up with WotC. That is a big, big support.
Oh my God, that was so cool. Being in that dungeon they had with all the smoke machines going off with their reveal was pretty sweet. We also have Patreon. Feel free to join. You don't have to, but we appreciate everyone who does. And now we're here once again, the month of October, to talk about the cards we think are most worth buying for the month. I feel like time is flying. I feel like we just made September, but here we are. Cards keep going up and down in price, and we are doing our homework for you.
I blink and cards are from 50 cents to $10, and I never know what's going on, but I do know what Commander cards are good, and I do know what they are right now, because that is what we are here to bring you. One of the features that we love most about Card Kingdom is the fact that you can choose your condition. Usually we talk about cards in near mint pricing, but today we're going to be talking about everything in the excellent condition, because that is a bit cheaper, so they're even more most worth buying. The first price being Deadly Rollick at $20. This is 3 and a black for an instant. If you control a commander, you can cast it without paying its mana cost. Exile target creature. I'm always so surprised to see this below 40, because that is where it's stuck at in my head. Because even though it's had a few reprints and stuff, that Otrimi was hitting like a truck, where it was like, this is the best new free spell to come out for a commander. But seeing it at $20 makes it just so much better.
Yeah, that does feel kind of half price to where it has been. I know the Deadpool release, I think I did Deadly Rollick in it.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah, so that definitely helped drop the price, and now nobody really wanted the rainbow foil, but that tends to bring the regular hard to get version down closer, and maybe the rainbow foil up to match each other a little bit. So that's where you get to 20. And I think I do appreciate that this card is now affordable, because I play this in literally everything. I play this in every commander deck that is black, that I could reasonably have my commander out at any given turn, which is so many decks.
There's so many spells where I'm thinking about where it's like, oh, free interaction. Well, I'm not money bags over here. And I do still show that $20 is very expensive for a magic card. Don't get me wrong. But I'm happy that in the suite of free interaction, it is going down. We're not looking at every card being Force of Will prices, 50, 50, 70, 100. You know what I mean? Where you have free interaction where it's 20. We have Flare of Malice at $3. We have Snuff Out around the sub 10 range. I like that we are able to have these sweatier brackets of magic, the 3s and 4s, and we have the interaction suites, and we can build them at a more affordable price point than we could in years past.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons that the going rate that we always say, the going rate for black removal in Commander is 0 mana. That's your bar. Infernal Grasp is 2 more mana than it should be, because of things like Deadly Rollick, because of Snuff Out, because of Flare of Malice, because of Lethal Scheme to a certain degree. All of this stuff is just such a great removal suite. Deadly Rollick's probably the best one, because it just doesn't ask anything of you except to be playing the format you're already playing. And I like that we're going to be putting some little bit more spicy cards on this list, because we're trying out the excellent feature of Card Kingdom, because I am more than happy, personally, to give up a slight mint condition to just save real dollars.
I'm the type of person who's it's sleeve playable, it's good enough for me. And,
Well,
and I can't really tell the difference between excellent and near mint. Maybe that's just me, but I'm not that good at telling that.
Also, just buy the card to play it. I'm not buying it to resell it. So if I'm buying to play it, just give me the crappiest, most beat up one you have, and I'll put it in my deck.
I'm here to riffle shuffle mine.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Next is Cyberdrive Awakener. This is a $3 card, 5 and a blue for a 4/4 flying. Other artifact creatures you control have flying. And whenever this creature enters until end of turn, each non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/4. Now, I want to say about this card, I don't know that this is a busted card. I think it's just a hard card to find, because it's a payoff for food, clues, treasures, stuff, random crap you have laying around. And it does turn that into a win condition, where before it was kind of hard to say, I have 50 clues, now what? How do I win? But when you can just turn them into 4/4s, this and maybe Rise and Shine, I don't know. They're very okay, but I think they're very in demand, and this just got a reprint in Edge of Eternity's precons. And I know for a fact, when this first came out, I was like, okay, food, treasure, clues, sure, it's a payoff for that. but that was in Neon Dynasty. And then the thing went up to like 12, 15 bucks. And I think now it's getting chopped down again, but I know now with experience, it's going to go back up.
I mean, how many little things can you make in Commander that are not like actual creatures? Whether that's the food clue treasure, or we're talking about the blood tokens, the junk tokens, I don't know. You can put in so many things in this little category of artifact things that you just make by accident. And this is a great way to win the game without having to resort to the olden days of KCI combos where that's a little tired. This is a little bit better where you're like, I want to beat face. I want to actually swing it on my opponents. I want combat damage and life totals to actually matter, where I'm not just trying to combo out for infinite mana.
Yeah, and this is one of the things about Most Worth Buying is I don't think this is $12 good, but this is definitely $3 good.
I think this is great in the 2 and 3 power bracket. I think that because we are taking the time to damage our opponents, that we have time to build up to big win cons like these. Artifact decks are so much fun, and maybe I have to try this out in one of mine.
Yeah, scooping it for $3 is pretty low in terms of the opportunity cost. Like, you're going to probably have some fun with it. Just know it's not the best card in the world, but it's definitely $3 good, for sure. Just maybe not 12 or 15, so pick it up before it goes back up. And we're going to talk about another spicy one. I cannot believe Parallel Lives is $17. Are you kidding me? This is 3 and a green for an enchantment. If an effect would create one or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. And I was like looking, I'm like, why is this so cheap? Spider-Man, this was on the bonus sheet, I guess, and I think a lot of people opened it the first weekend, so now it's, I mean, I feel like it's cut in half. What was the last reprint, like Wild's Veldrain?
Maybe. I feel like it was a $40 card last time I thought about it, so seeing it at 17, oh, how the mighty have fallen. This is a great card for your tokens deck, and seeing it at 17 is kind of crazy to me. I always figured that it and Doubling Season were always around the same price range.
For a minute, yeah.
Yeah, but with the price reduction of Doubling Season, because that got reprinted in Foundations, this got reprinted in Spider-Man, maybe they're both around this like 20-ish range now too.
Yeah, it's funny because on this channel, like, I've always had such a trouble like grading this card, because I think that there's a lot of cards like it where they don't do anything, but they supercharge whatever you do next. And there's so many of them. I mean, Annoyed Procession is like the same card. All of the counters doublers, all of the token doublers, all of the like, ooh, when you play your Planeswalker next, it's going to ultimate. It's like, but you spent 4 mana on this and it doesn't do anything until you play that thing. So this price cut is, I think, exactly what I need to recommend this card now, because there are times where you can't really set up, or you don't want to play this when it doesn't do anything, or you play it and then it dies before you get a huge advantage. Even if you play this and then double your first couple tokens, it might not be worth 4 mana. So having a price jump down to 17, I think this is a $17 card. This is $17 good.
I feel like when it's at that $40 range, I have a tough time justifying it in my head, where I'm like, I don't know if this is $40 good. I don't want to gamble on that, especially when we are in like reprint city sometimes, where one day it can be $40, we announce a reprint, it goes down to $17. But when it's at the bottom, when it just gets reprinted and it's at 17, I'm a little bit more willing to pick it up, and if I don't like it, I can usually flip it for the amount that I paid for it, or roughly around that, maybe even a little bit more if I wait long enough. I think that this is a comfortable amount to try it out as.
Yeah, we all know this is going to creep up over time. If you were holding out on Parallel Lives, like I think, honestly, I might go scoop one of these, but we're going to get into some budget cards as well. High Market is $1.79, and this is a land that taps for a colorless, or, importantly, taps to sacrifice a creature, and you gain 1 life. It's the most minimal effect they could have possibly put after sacrifice a creature, and I'm kind of still here for it. If it just said, tap, : you may sacrifice a creature, I think that would be pretty good, and that's kind of what this amounts to. Sure, life gain decks maybe want the trigger. I really don't know if life gain decks want to play this, though. This is for aristocrats, graveyard, things that have important dies triggers, ways to sort of like, if you don't have a free sack outlet in play, which is what we always advocate for in those decks, if you don't have Viscera Seer, if you don't have Phyrexian Altar, this is a backup, and it can save your creatures from maybe getting Swords to Plowshare, or if somebody plays a Living Death, maybe you can just sort of like put things in your graveyard where you actually want them. Maybe you sack a big creature and reanimate it. Just that tiny little bit of utility while entering untapped and at least making mana.
It is a proactive way to be sacrificing your creatures. I like this because, unlike if it said tap and then you may sacrifice a creature, sacking a creature is part of the cost. True. So they can't respond to it. So once you sack the creature, it will automatically die, and then they can, I guess, respond to you gaining a life, but that creature will be long dead by then, and you will be able to save it from whatever it was being targeted by, or whatever board wipe might be happening. High Market is very cool, and I do love the new art it just came out with. This got reprinted in Edge of Eternities, and that space art is really nice from at least what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I even use that effect to great use in CDH. And this can be obviously taken outside of that too. But like my deck plays Protean Hulk, and that has a very good dies trigger. It basically says when it dies, I win the game. And High Market cannot be responded to because the cost is sacrificing the creature. So by the time you activate it, you've already paid the cost. And then the thing that goes on the stack is you gain 1 life. And that's what they could respond to. But your creature is already dead. So any huge dice trigger like that, you already start getting the payoff. And they're going to have to like stifle it or something, which is almost impossible.
Yeah, High Market is very, very good to have. And I do like, as you mentioned, it comes in untapped. So if you do need to use that immediately, you can, because it's not like people can respond to you playing the land. It's not like they can respond to the creature dying because it's already going to be dead by the time you gain that 1 life.
Yep, it's already in the graveyard. Super cool. Love High Market. And it's great that I think Edge of Eternity's brought it down just a little bit because it was creeping up there slightly. But okay, this next one, I don't care who you are. I don't care who your commander is. If you are playing a budget deck and it is red and green, 100% you should be playing Escape to the Wilds. It's only 50 cents. 3 red green for a sorcery. Exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may play them until the end of your next turn, and you may play an additional land this turn.
This has gotten me out of so many pinches. I've been saying that I was like, oh, well, in green, red, I want to ramp into really big things. But I just can't find the lands or mana to do it. What can I do? Well, I play this and I have the 5 lands and I find a few lands off the top, the big old chunk, and you go, yes, 1, 2, and then you can still play them next turn also. Escape to the Wilds is great card advantage. It gives you a little bit of extra rampies. And usually you can play it before turn 5, which is really, really nice, so you can get those extra triggers. I love this card a lot. I think it's been very, very versatile and very just like helpful in those games, and I've been playing it outside of budget too.
Yeah, this is the perfect bridge card in your big mana decks too, because I'm happy to ramp into it. I'd love to play Escape to the Wilds on turn 3 and then hit 1 or 2 lands off of it and then get access to all that stuff next turn. But this is like the best top deck in the entire world when you're looking for answers or when you're running out of options. Oh, 5 more top decks. Yeah, that's exactly what I'd like. And then I'm going to play 2 lands from there. You kind of can't whiff because presumably in the most optimal scenario, you haven't played a land yet. So even if you get 3 lands on Escape, you can play all 3 of them.
Yeah, and it says until the end of your next turn. So even if you get 3 lands and you already played a land that turn, you play an extra one, and then you still have your choice of not sacking or like exiling all of them and then playing them next turn too if you have a really juicy one in there. I do like Escape to the Wilds a lot. I think that it's super solid.
Yeah, you should pretty much just play it in anything because I feel like it's bailed us out of so many scenarios. We have it in vastly different decks as well. Any budget deck, this is just such a good card for 50 cents. It's nuts. It does everything you want. It's perfect. In my opening hands, it's not gumming them up. It's not a 7-drop. In my opening hand, I go, this is very attainable. This is going to be my first game plan to get to this card in the first 4 turns.
It just helps you churn through more of your deck. I love seeing more cards. I love getting to the answers I need, and Escape to the Wilds helps with that. The next card is a card that completely decides games most of the time, not gonna lie.
Sure has recently.
It's Elesh Norn Grand Cenobite at $16, 5 white for a 4/7 with Vigilance. Creatures you control get +2/+2, besides her, of course, and creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. This is a mini board wipe all-in-one, a buff to your creatures, and a big butt. I love you, mommy.
So hear me out on this. This card is kind of old at this point. I think New Phyrexia was like 20...
It was a hot minute ago.
Yeah, what was it, like early 2010s? I feel like this card is getting better and better.
Yes.
Like, as creatures get compressed to the lower parts of the curve because they just do more power creep and such, this just feels like it kills more and more and more relevant things. As mana curves get lower than I'm sure they were 10 years ago in Commander, now Elesh Norn comes down and sometimes you just can't do anything. You just lose all your creatures, and then from that point, which is why Elesh Norn's always been good, I already lost all my creatures. They're not coming back. Even I have to kill the Elesh Norn, the mommy, as you say, or I can't play creatures in the future, but I've already lost so much, and it's already worth 7 mana.
Maybe this is super weird, but I completely agree with you. As the mana curves get lower and lower, I feel like 4 butt nowadays. I'm just like, well, what am I going to do about that?
4 toughness.
4 toughness. What am I going to do about that? Which is very funny considering in the battlecruiser meta of like 5 or 10 years ago.
You're like 4 toughness?
That's it? I'm swinging with an 8/8. What are you going to do about it? I feel like 4 toughness is unobtainable now because everything is at the 1 or 2. It ETBs, you make the thing. Maybe when it dies, you do the thing. And with Elesh Norn, this is just a sweeper of so many of those little guys, whether they're your utility creatures, whether they're the tokens that you come in with parallel lives or whatever. This wipes the board completely. And then if you are already making a bunch of little guys overall, I just played this in a deck with Galadriel in it, and then I already had like Craterhoof on next turn, so this just gave that extra boost of damage. Elish Norn is really awesome. It just really helps break up those board stalls, and there are a lot of them in Commander.
It just does it all. It's a great card to ramp into. It's a great reanimation target. It's pretty much good at any point in the game, even if you do cheat it out on like the first couple turns. You know, unlike something like, I think Shieldred Whispering one is pretty bad when you cheat it out early.
Yeah.
But Elish Norn, when you cheat it out early, is like, oh, you're sweeping away all their mana dorks, all their utility creatures, and now they still can't play them. So they're really going to get stifled. They have to find an answer for this. Plus, you're beating in. It's not quite a win con. It's very, very close to an overrun-ish effect. But I don't think of Elish Norn so much as the game closer. I think it as like the bridge between that. Kind of like how Escape to the Wilds isn't like your biggest, splashiest card, but it's the bridge that gets you there.
Yeah.
You go, all right, Escape to the Wilds. Like, oh man, they're really ramping. I can't stop them. Elish Norn, oh god, their board is huge. I can't stop them. And then the next thing is what kills you.
Yeah, it's not
all your board is gone.
It's not a closer, I don't think. It's closer to like a game decider where like, if you can't answer this, I will win. There's so many times where you're like, okay, you're playing like Beldros. I'll throw out like an Elish Norn, like, all right, Pest, Born, die.
There go my chump blockers.
Gain a life, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't want it to go like this. Yeah, Elish Norn houses every deck I've ever played, that's for sure. All my commanders are 2 toughness or less, and she just destroys them. She's only $16. I think it's a very fair price for our tried and true commander staple, like just never going anywhere in the format, apparently.
This card up next is Pitiless Plunderer. It is awesome. It is an uncommon a lot of the time, and it's $3.50, and I'm very, very happy to see it a lot lower because this is an awesome card. 3 and a black for a 1/4. Whenever another creature you control dies, you create a treasure token. This has combos with so many things. Dice triggers coming back. You make a thing, you kill the thing, you get some mana, and then you make infinite mana somehow. How there are so many ways to be able to do it. Pitiless Plunderer is the centerpiece of so many combos, and he is one of the, if not the best card in a lot of aristocrat decks.
Yeah, this, can you believe we've never talked about this before?
Really?
I think because for a while it
was expensive.
11, 12. That's not really the case recently. It's sort of been, I think, falling from the $8 range down to where it is now. Between like, I think it was in Fallout, I think it was on the Mystery Booster, like white bordered maybe, the list, something like that, all that stuff. And now it's just $3.50, and this is one of the strongest uncommons in the format, I'm pretty sure. It does a Phyrexian Altar impression, which not a lot of cards can say that they do. War and Soul Trader maybe is the other one. But this goes infinite, like you said, with other things like Nether Trader, plus anything like Priest of, Pawn of Ulamog, that kind of things go, oh, well, my creature died, Nether Trader dies, so I get a spawn, gives me a treasure. Sack the spawn, gives me a treasure, get back Nether Trader. Oh, wait, like, here we go. And Gravecrawler and zombie stuff. This has a lot of critical mass combos. It's a very scary card. It makes board wipes feel way worse. And the only thing you need to do with Pitiless Plunderer is draw cards. If you can draw cards and have your creatures die, your turn's not going to end, which is the best part of Magic, is to play more turn.
Pitiless Plunderer, I feel like, is always one of the cards where everyone's like, well, we'll just wait for the other cards to come down, too. I feel like it never dies fast enough for my liking, which would be immediately. I wish it would always die immediately, but it always sticks around for at least a couple turns, and that's always the problem, because then they're like, oh, well, I'll wipe the board, I'll get this much mana, you know, and then, wow, suddenly I have enough to play extra turns, and you guys can't do anything about it because you also have no resources anymore.
This is funny coming from you, the person I think I've seen with Pitiless Plunderer in play the most frequently of all my opponents.
And I know how fast I beat people with this card.
Yeah, if they haven't gotten a treasure yet, you're not bullying them by demolishing Pitiless Plunderer. It's just going to kill you. It really is. And I'm going to leave the next one to you because this feels like a Mia card.
Ooh, I love this guy. It's Edgar Markov at $23. 3 red, white, black for a 4/4, but it says when you cast another vampire spell, if he's either in the command zone, which people don't like, or on the battlefield, you create a 1/1 vampire. He has first strike and haste. When he attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on each vampire you control. Edgar Markov, what a guy. For so long, he was in the $100+ range because he never got a reprint. And then Innistrad Remastered came along, and he dropped all the way to $23. When he first got reprinted, I would be like not that shocked if he stayed around the $40 or $50 range, because that would be still half from his highest. But seeing him at $23 makes him so much more obtainable. He was in the top 10 commanders for the really long time, even when he was at that $100 range, but I'm happy to see more people being able to play him because he's really cool.
Sort of an exception to our normal rule. We usually don't talk about literal commanders. I think Edgar Markov is probably in the 99 of almost 0 decks.
Yeah.
This is pretty much just a commander. a very problematic one, but we don't usually talk about that. But because his price has gone down, like it's like 25% of what it was, and this is genuinely the best vampire commander. It might always be the best vampire commander, which is part of the problem. Like, if you want to build the best vampire deck, here you go. It's the same as it was in 2017 when it came out. 2016, one of those 2 years.
2017.
Same as it is, and it's probably going to be the same 10 years from now. It'll still be the best commander. It just does way too much. That's fine, but guess what? Edgar players, PSA, $23. You can unproxy it now.
Maybe you want to have the special foiling treatment, or maybe you want that special frame. It's so much more obtainable now, and you have a lot more variety than just, oh, well, if I want to pay $23, I get Big Edgar. Big Edgar was sitting at $23 for the longest time, and now I can have, I can shuffle this into my deck if I want a Chaos Warp him.
Yeah, now literally the real one is $25. I had friends who would buy the oversized, chop them in half, and cut them so they each of the halves fit into a magic sleeve.
Oh?
And then kind of treat it like a melted card.
But they're bigger than that. They're way bigger than the average magic card. How much would you have to cut for that?
A little bit. It kind of worked.
Okay.
It kind of worked. They were kind of cooking.
I've never seen that in person, but I now have to ask them next time.
Back to a 99 card, and I will give a PSA here. You're not allowed to play this against me.
Ever.
So just buy it and then take it out if you play against me. It's $6 for Dothy Voidwalker. Black for a 3/2 with Shadow. And if a card will be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with a void counter on it. Tap and sacrifice this creature, choose an exiled card an opponent owns with a void counter on it. You can play it this turn without paying its mana costs. I hate it. Any graveyard deck cannot win when this card is in play. And that's just a random bonus, because even if you're just playing normal, fair, Richard Garfield intended this magic to happen, it just takes their instant sorceries, takes their fetch lands, takes their creatures that die, and then if you don't need Dothy Voidwalker later, you get the best one of those things for free. If you ever exile a counterspell, congratulations, this is now a counterspell, etc. for every card type.
Dothy Voidwalker is insane, and it is so good, and it basically, you just slap it into any deck that can run it because it will always be useful. People don't play enough graveyard hate, and this is a great way to do it. Also, if someone else has a Dothy Voidwalker out and you have your Dothy Voidwalker out, you'll be able to share a pool because they'll all have void counters on it. You just can't cast your own stuff. As long as it's an opponent stuff, you'll be able to share that same pool. Plus, it's also not tied to Dothy Voidwalker. You sack him, you bring him back. You can still play the cards once he gets over his summoning sickness. Dothy Voidwalker, I feel like they didn't think about enough, because if they thought about him for even 10 more seconds, they'd realize he was a really good card, and maybe they would have tied the cards to him or something.
He's really annoying. I think they were intentional with how annoying he was, and they were coming after me personally.
Yeah, they went, you suck, BZ.
This guy needs to be taken down a couple notches.
Directly. I hate your Carador deck.
Is he still playing Carador? Let's show him.
It's 2025, right?
Let's show him what's up with the Dothy Voidwalker. This card is actually kind of confusing. A couple things to clear up. First, if there are two Dothy Voidwalkers in play, your opponents, whoever is being affected, gets to choose which Dothy exiles them, which is maybe relevant. I don't know if that is relevant with the void counters. But the other thing is that when you sacrifice it, it says play the card this turn for free. That is restricted by timing, so you cannot play a sorcery on someone else's turn. If it didn't say this turn, if it just said you can play it without paying its mana cost, then you could break timing. But stuff like that is tricky, so we don't get to talk about that a lot. So I figured we might as well mention it here. If there's a Dothy Voidwalker and a Rest in Peace, you can choose to go with you can choose the replacement effect of the Rest in Peace. Obviously, that's better for you because then they can't use it. Dothy is just completely busted, and I'm saying this literally, I do mean this. This should probably be in every black commander deck, with zero exceptions. It's just that good. Obviously, for like synergy and fun considerations, bracket considerations, that's where it gets cut. But literally never anytime else.
Yeah, the only time I could think about maybe not putting it in is if you're having a hard time getting those pips, if your deck is like 5% black and you're having trouble hitting those black pips. But this is still good no matter when you cast it. Even if you cast it on turn 5 or 6, it's still a good high miso. It's still a good card overall. It's still going to, really mess with those graveyard decks. It's going to be a free spell if it can stick around long enough, if it doesn't get eaten by Elishnorn.
Yeah.
It's just... This card has wrecked so many game plans. I'm not just talking about Beezy's, though it does wreck every one of Beezy's game plans.
Yeah, you know what? I will say maybe the one deck this doesn't go in is something like Crush the Bloodbraided, where it's like whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you get an effect. This just removes that, so they don't actually die. So I would maybe hesitate there, but never anywhere else. And we're going to go to the next card, which is what?
This is Blade of Selves at $3.50. 2 mana for an equipment. Equipped creature has Myriad, and you can equip it for 4. Myriad is when it attacks for each opponent other than the person's attacking, you create a copy of that creature that's tapped and attacking them. Myriad's pretty cool. I really wish that more cards like Myriad stapled onto it. It was a very limited mechanic. It's only in a couple sets, but Blade of Cells means that anything you can give it to. So if you put it on a commander and you attack with it, you'll have those copies, but the other ones will die immediately, and you can choose which ones die and which ones don't die. But if you have any ETBs or Leaves of the Graveyard synergies, that could be really good. If you put it on just a normal non-legendary creature, or if you have something that says the legend rule doesn't apply, you will get all the copies and they'll stick around, and then they will get exiled at the end of combat.
Then you profit. Now this is the coolest Myriad card because it lets you give Myriad to anything, and it makes me excited to like, oh, deck building. What can I do this with? Can I search for it and maybe just start like Stoneforge Mysticking every turn and just get a bunch of Stoneforge Mystics? Or do I want to like get a bunch of Grave Titans and maybe lose the game because that's not good enough? But this card was like $10 for the longest time. This card is not that good. I'm sorry, Blade of Cells. 6 mana to give 2 ETBs with all the setup that is required. The creature has to be able to attack and stuff. No responses. Don't get blown out. Like, it's not that good. $3.50 is such a fair price for this card. Go out, buy it, experiment, have a lot of fun with it, and you're not going to feel bad that you spent $10 on a janky artifact.
I feel like there's so many more things nowadays where it's like artifacts have, affinity, or like, equip it for free if you do X, Y, Z. 4 is a lot to equip this, and I do agree that it's not that great at that point. But if you have ways to equip it for free or heavily discounted, if you can play it for free, if you could shave any mana off of that cost, then it makes it so much more appealing. Don't cram this into a random deck where you're like, well, I have a ETBs in here. That would be pretty cool, because that 4 you will find is often not worth the equip cost.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Helm of the Host.
Oh, Helm of the Host.
That's even harder to make work. That's even harder to make work, but it has that vibe where you pay all this mana and you put it on your best creature, and then it gets killed and you lose all your mana that you spent and your best creature, and you just feel terrible about it. So $3.50, we can dry our tears with all the money we saved as we move to Moxfield.com, the best place to build a deck. Do you know why Miso jumped up here? Because he knew that we were about to talk about Moxfield. They say that cats have a sixth sense for Moxfield, and I think that's true.
Moxfield.com is the best place online to be able to share your decks. If you want to show Miso where to find your deck, all you have to do is show him a QR code. He'll be really confused, but if you show it to BZ, he can scan it and take you right to your deck list.
Actually, Miso's been loving screens lately because we showed him Cat TV, which is like the live streams with the birds on it.
I bet he'd love Moxfield.com. You can also playtest on Moxfield too.
You can playtest. You can drag cards directly from Scryfall into your Moxfield list without typing. It will add the card. I mean, the integration here, people, is crazy. And we hope you like this integration as we move on to Eldritch Evolution, $2.79, 1 green for a sorcery as an additional cost to cast it, sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, where X is 2 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Exile Eldritch Evolution. Playing this in CDH has helped me realize this card is kind of silly. It is $2.79, and it's only 3 mana. This can turn a 3-drop into a 5-drop, a 1-drop into a 3-drop, a 5-drop into a 7-drop, a 2-drop into a 4-drop, etc. You have a token into a 2-drop. You have so much flexibility that if you're playing a toolbox green creature deck, you should probably be playing this. This thing used to be a little bit more pricey. Maybe it used to be double the price. It was another Innistrad Remastered reprint where that set comes out, it bottoms out. People don't really have that much more demand for it, so it kind of stays where it's at. And we definitely need to talk about it because we don't talk about this card enough.
Who would have guessed that tutors are pretty good? Eldritch Evolution is so solid because of that plus, X plus 2. 2 is a very solid jump about that, because we're playing stuff where it's like sack it and then plus 1, the birthing pod type effects. And that's really solid too, because you're getting an advantage for that. But X plus 2 on something that costs 3 mana, that is going to just fuel your game plan way faster. I'm happy that says exile it, because I know people would be looping this if it didn't.
Yeah, you get Eternal Witness and then get it back. But one of the things that makes this card a little bit better in the past couple years, I would say since Thunder Junction, we are, for whatever reason, maybe since Wilds of Eldraine, we are in the Beanstalk era. Every Magic card, for some reason, now costs 6, but you can cast it for 2. It's got some effect that lets you just cast it for free or reduce it, or who cares? Leyline Binding, this town ain't big enough, all of the overlords, that kind of thing. So we can cast a Dargo, the Shipwrecker, for 1 mana, and then turn it into a 9-drop. And it doesn't have to be a 9-drop since it is X or less. So you can turn it into basically any creature in your deck. Ghalta, Primal Hunger, Primeval Protector, all cards that basically cost 1 or 2 mana. That's where I think this gets kind of crazy, and maybe we should, wow, buddy, that was a big jump. And why don't you lay down? Maybe we should be playing Eldritch Evolution more, even in our non-toolboxy decks. Check your commander. Maybe your commander can pot into something really good.
Eldritch Evolution is also awesome. Oh my god, I'm still scared. I'm sorry.
The adrenaline.
Eldritch Evolution is also still awesome because, as we talked about with Hive Market, it is an additional cost to cast a spell. You sack a creature. So, like in your Protean Hulk deck, it will be able to sack it and people can't respond. And then you can go get your creature so they're still responding to the tutor with the death triggers on the stack.
Yeah, like people can still respond to Eldritch Evolution, but by the time it's on the stack, the creature will have already died. So your Academy Rectors and things like that you really want dead, that you're worried about, if you play, Academy Rector and then priority goes back to you, the card resolves, you can just play Eldritch Evolution before they have priority at all, and then Academy Rector will already be dead.
So not only will you be able to get your death triggers guaranteed with this, because even if it gets countered, it's the cost to cast the spell, which is
sacrifice.
Awesome.
Make that an upside.
Yeah, if it resolves, you'll also get the tutor, and I think that is like a wombo combo for all of the green plus decks that really have those sacrifice synergies in them.
Yeah, I have a deck with Dargo as the commander. Maybe I should just play this in there, right?
Maybe you should just make another Dargo deck.
Dargo is one of my favorite partners. It's kind of a busted Magic card. What's next?
Up next is a card that you spec'd on earlier this year. It's Authority of the Consuls at $4.30. Authority is white for an enchantment. Creatures your opponents control enter tapped, and whenever a creature an opponent controls enters, you gain 1 life. This stops your hasty creatures. This is just enabling so many life gain shenanigans. It's a sticky, it's very easy to put down on turn 1, and I'm always happy to see it no matter where I am in the game.
And the reason I spec'd on it last year, by the way, so it doesn't count.
Whoops. I remember you spec'd on it in general.
It was like December of last year, so it's not part of the spec game this year, which is why I'm happy to talk about it. But the reason I spec'd on it was I only had a month, and I know that this card always creeps back up. It was like $12 to $15 before the Foundation reprint, and I can already see it was like 3 earlier, and it's going back up. I think this is a card that I'm happy to spend like $6 or $7 on, because for such a cheap amount, it disrupts and it bolsters your life total. Like if you just play this on turn 1, it's probably good for like 30 life if no one does anything about it. And the best part about that 30 life is it comes in increments, so no one is processing all at once. They're like, oh, he gains 1. That's pretty annoying.
You just say it under your breath, like, trigger.
Gain 1.
Trigger, gain 1. And then people will be like, oh, whoa, you're at 55 and it's turn 4.
How'd that happen?
That's crazy. Authority of the Consuls really shuts down a lot of the shenanigans of like, the hasty creatures are like, oh, I'll punch in, don't worry about it. Or like, oh, don't worry, I'll use my thing to tap. And I was like, no, you won't.
Yeah, the new Tanuk,
I think
like
you're
Maelstrom
good.
Wanderer, cards that rely on haste, all that stuff is like, sorry. Next turn, maybe.
Yeah, Authority, I feel like 30 might even be a little bit low on life.
If you play a turn 1.
Even on like turn 3 or 4, there's so many games where you have seen me just put it down, let the game just like stall out a little bit because it's in a life gain deck, and you're like, oh, you're at 40 still. I'm like, yeah, and I've taken 30 damage in the last 3 turns. So I feel like it is so easy to be able to gain life and just sustain with this, and no one really, like, people will blink, you'll still be at 40 and they'll all be at 15 because the game will just naturally progress.
If turn 1 is the best turn for it, that does mean this is a bad top deck, so it's not going to get you out of every scenario, but even late, it's probably good for a couple life. If you can play a board wipe late and then play this, it's kind of still good because the board is reset, and you're still going to profit some life off it over the next 3 turns when people rebuild.
And then there's some cards that we just like that give out creatures. Maybe you're in a deck that likes to do that, like your Marchesa deck. Maybe you're playing like Benevolent Offering or something.
Or the land Forbidden Orchard does just kind of give away a thing every turn. There are low value things you can give away that are going to contribute to the amount of life you gain.
Yeah, you might be able to make some synergies with this card. Overall, I'm very happy to see it at $4 because I understand why it was $10. It kind of did this like roller coaster thing where it was like 4 when you spec'd on it. It went up to like 10, even 12 for a little, and now it's back down to 4, and I'm happy to pick it up at that price.
That's going to bring us to another slam dunk 50-cent card. This does not go in every blue deck, but it is very, very cool, and it's won me a lot of games literally by itself. It's Amanatu's Augury, 6 blue for a sorcery. Exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield until end of turn. For each non-land card type, you may cast a spell of that type from among the exiled cards without paying its mana cost. So if you exile an enchantment, an artifact, a creature, and an instant, and a land, and 3 repeats, you can get the land out and then those 4 spells for free. The question mark for this card is, are you going to get 8 mana value out of this card? Are you playing 50 creatures? You shouldn't play this card. Are you playing 50 artifacts? You shouldn't play this card. Is your average mana value 2.3? You shouldn't play this card. But if you've got big boys that you are ramping into, then this card is kind of honestly busted.
Yeah, it's pretty narrow in that regard, which is why it is so cheap in my opinion. If you can get your value out of it, that could be worth it. Or if you have a lot of varied card types where it's like, oh, it's the artifact creature, it's the enchantment creature. If you have a bunch of different types, or if you have a bunch of types stable onto one thing, maybe you're playing the Aether Spark, where it's like an artifact, planeswalker, whatever.
And then you choose what type it counts as when you cast it.
Yeah, if you have a bunch of types, maybe you're even incorporating battles, who knows?
Sure.
Then you'll be able to get the maximum value out of this. But if you're playing a creature-heavy deck, if you're playing 40-plus creatures, I think I might stay away from this just a touch.
Yeah, I will also say that depending on the big spells you play, it doesn't really matter if you're not hitting 5 cards off this, because if you are an extra turn type of deck, which is probably bracket 4 and up, then this kind of always equals at least 1 extra turn. But the thing about them is a lot of them are instants and a lot of them are sorcery, so you might get 2 or 3 off of this. Plus you're hitting land drops for the turn, you're ramping a little bit as you go into your next couple turns. It's kind of ridiculous if you are chaining like the big boys. Rise of the Dark Realms could be one too. Things like I have it in a Cascade deck, and you are casting the cards. So the other game I had like, okay, Almanatu's Augury. Oh, I hit an Apex Devastator. Well, that's 5 more spells. Oh, I hit a Maelstrom Wanderer. Well, that's 3 more spells. And the turn was so long, I just cut it off, and I'm like, I think I win.
This is just a fun card, too. I like these little, big mana gamble cards, as I like to think of them. Those are the Fevered Suspicions, and those are the Breach the Multiverses, and This is one of those big mana gamble cards where you're not positive if you'll get something, but you have, a 98% chance of, if you put this in the deck that can, actually take advantage of it, you will get your mana value and more.
Yeah, and I've seen way more than 50 cents return on my investment for Almanatu's Augury. Super sweet card. The next one we have not talked about, which is crazy because this is one of the biggest price dips of the year, because this card was reprinted in a Festival in a Box.
Oh, Festival in a Box. That was a good place for reprints.
And it went from $40 to $9.50.
What? That is crazy.
What do we got?
It's Ugin the Spirit Dragon. He's 8 mana for a Planeswalker. That comes in with Loyalty 7. We don't talk about Planeswalkers that much, so I guess I'm not that surprised that we haven't chatted about him recently. He pluses 2 to deal 3 damage to any target. Minus X, you exile each permanent with mana value X or less. That's 1 or more colors. That's a lot of them. And minus 10, you gain 7 life. You draw 7 cards, and you put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Wow, he does a little bit of everything. And I feel like when you slap him down, most times I see him do the minus X, and you wipe the board because you're playing this in a colorless deck, or you're playing it in a deck where you can take advantage of just wiping the board like that, or you don't have a lot of ability to wipe the board, so you're playing him instead. But being able to do the +2 to just zap, bolt something really quickly, whether that's someone's face or someone's utility creature, I feel like with Planeswalkers, the ultimate doesn't matter, but it sure is sweet if you can get to it.
Yeah, this serves as partially like a color pie break. You can call it the best green board wipe, because if you're ramping and ramping and ramping, this can control the board in a certain sense. If you're a colorless deck, it's a one-sided, basically another copy of All Is Dust with upside. Mostly, I think you're going to minus. It feels like these days -4 or 5 is good to wipe the board. That's basically everything.
That's the low mana curve that we're talking about.
Yeah, everything's been compressed, so -4, -5 will do you good. And then you've just got a thing that maybe will survive and +2 and deal 3 to a couple things. That's fine. I've seen Ugin survive. I don't think you're going to get to the ultimate unless you ramp into him and then ++ before you ultimate. But if you minus, that's fine. You just take a board wipe and then you have a little thing left over. This is a pretty good card. I think it's worse now than it was 8 years ago, back when it was 40-50. And it was unfortunate that it stayed 40-50 until the reprint that just completely killed it. The retro printing is now 950 in the excellent condition from Card Kingdom. But this... Don't mess me up. Don't mess me up. This guy is sweet. He's just not $50 good.
No.
I think he's acceptable. You can play him. He's playable in the modern meta. Happy to pay 10. I would never pay 50 for this.
Maybe this is a bad take. You guys can yell at me for it if you want, but I don't think any Planeswalker is worth $50. Maybe
for Commander.
Maybe Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. Maybe him. Anything. Yeah, I don't think he is, but I think as a blanket statement, I could say that no Planeswalker that I can think of is worth $50 in Commander.
Yeah, they would have to just completely change the game.
Yeah, because it's just so okay, he's here, now what? Well, I still have 3 other opponents. I think, though, that with Ugin at least, with all the proliferation synergies that we're seeing in Commander nowadays, you might be able to get to that -10 relatively quickly, maybe even the turn you play him if you have things that reduce his cost, if you have cheap proliferation spells, if you're playing him and you're playing these long, drawn-out games, you might be able to get to that. Who knows?
I mean, Evolution Sage and a fetch land is 2.
It's not crazy.
That puts him at 9.
Yeah,
it's definitely doable.
I don't think it's completely crazy to think about that.
Obviously, doubling season will do it.
Yeah, because games are just going so much faster nowadays.
Yeah, I think the problem with Planeswalkers is that they have a ceiling for every turn, and a lot of these other cards say just like, no, it's just a creature. This ability is a static thing. Whenever you do this, it's not restricted to once per turn. Planeswalker's going off once, and then they're not really doing anything for the rest of the turn. So that's why some of the static ability ones are so desirable. Narset's a game changer. Still not $50 good. But Ugin, you're a relic of the past, but we're happy to play you now more maybe than ever because now you're affordable.
The next card is a card that we see in CEDH a lot, but you can still play in your sweaty games or even your non-sweaty games if you wanted to. It's Gemstone Caverns at $38. It's a land that says if it's in your opening hand and you're not the starting player, you can begin the game with it on the battlefield with a luck counter on it. If you do, you exile any card from your hand. You could tap it to add colorless. If it has a luck counter on, though, you add 1 mana of any color. This is an expensive one, and as I mentioned, a sweaty one, because it lets you get that mana advantage out early if you're not the starting player. And you often are not the starting player.
75% of the time, you are not the starting player. This does have to be in your opening hand, but if it is, it's kind of like a secret game changer. You know, this isn't a game changer, but like the fast mana is, Chrome Mox and stuff. That's game changer, but this is just that, except harder to interact with if you get lucky and it's in your opening hand. But in Commander, you have 1 free mulligan, and it's not that hard to take another one to go to 6. So you can look at 21 cards, no problem, get the Gemstone Caverns out, whoop, mulligan again to put the card back, but now you're ramping out. Your commander comes down sooner. If your commander is one that draws cards, this is a busted Magic card. $38 is on the high end, especially for most worth buying, but I just think this is one of the best lands in the format. We don't talk about it enough, and it got a reprint in Edge of Eternities, which lowered it at least a little bit because it was pushing 50.
I'm always less hesitant to pick up lands too, because lands are one of the things where I'm like, ooh, well, if I take apart this Boros deck, I'll probably make a Boros plus deck in the future, so I can just keep those lands. And while it's I don't know if I'll ever do a combat damage or Voltron deck in the future, I will still be making something with Boros colors, and these lands are easy to shift around as I take apart decks and rebuild new ones. So even at $38, if I think I'm going to be playing a bracket 4, bracket 5 deck where I want this faster mana type situation, I'm happy to pick it up here on the off chance that even if I take apart that deck, I put it in a different one, and I'm still happy that I have it.
Yeah, Gemstone Caverns will always have a perfect home in whatever your most powerful deck is, and I think if you were on the fence, I don't see it getting lower than 38 right now.
No.
I really don't, especially since it just got printed in the bonus sheet. That's not a huge price mover, but it is something. It's a little bit. The price has moved down a little. It's just you're not going to get it in a standard set, so I don't know where else we would expect.
No, I picked it up at $40-ish back when Lord of the Rings came out, when they had those reprints, and that was a good deal back then, and then it immediately crept back up. So I would not be surprised to see it creep back up from Edge of Eternities because it's just so playable everywhere.
Oh, plus the planet art is so
it's a
good.
Nice one.
I want to maybe collect those because they are just so beautiful every time I see them, but we have to now compete with each other. For what? Not much else except bragging rights. We love to compete for no reason. We are speculating, and that means we are buying five copies of 1 card each every month, and then seeing if they will go up. That is the plan. We are buying cards with the intention of them going up, and at the end of the year, whoever is winning by price gained, among other factors, wins bragging rights.
Yeah, we put on the little propeller hat.
The loser does, yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a photo of it right here. Thinking about the spec game last month, I spec'd on Clever Concealment, the Final Fantasy. I lost $1.50, which I'm not that worried about because it's a great card, and I can see it going back up. Even if it doesn't go up by the end of the year, we're still using all the copies that I bought. That's all I care about.
If you were holding out on buying it, it's now even cheaper than when we said, and we were super excited about that.
So you should check it out. My spec for this month is Shadow of the Goblin at $1.49. I think this is cool because it comes down on turn 2, and it'll give you a little bit of card filtering, which is awesome. But the most important part is that when you play a land or a spell from anywhere other than your hand, it will deal 1 damage to each opponent. We're already seeing things like Passionate Archaeologist and stuff where they're like,
secrets.
Please give me a reprint on these. And this is $1.49. There's so many things that play things from the graveyard, from exile, etc., off Cascade and stuff. And this can chain up damage very, very quickly. And I think cards like this and Unstable Amulet and stuff are just under the radar. I feel like these will spike up pretty soon.
Some precon's going to come out. It's another, like the Doctor Who one where it's like, oh, all the stuff from Exile. People look to upgrade it. They go right to Shadow of the Goblin. I like this move. Mine was Ally Encampment. I lost 20 cents somehow. It was only 79 cents. Black Cat Cunning Thief, the borderless printing, is my spec for this month, also from Spider-Man. She's $1.79. I was going to go for the foil, but it was like $8 for some reason. I was like, I don't know. Well, $1.79 feels good because I think this is like a power crept updated version of Gonti. Gonti takes 1 card. He does have Death Touch, but blocking's not real. You want to flicker him anyway. She takes 2 cards from the top 9 of their deck. And I think when a Steal Your Stuff deck comes out next, this is one people are going to be really excited about. These packs, Spider-Man packs, are more expensive and probably going to be less opened. Spider-Man is not a home run set.
Yes.
So they're less open. They're more expensive to buy. Down the road, hopefully by December, because that's when this spec game ends, we'll be seeing some returns.
I think it'll pull the Assassin's Creed thing where it's like, who cares about that, blah, blah, blah. And then like 3 or 4 standout cards will come out from it after the initial wave. And they're like, oh, wow, it's actually spiking. And I feel like some of these have options. They might actually spike.
It's the Danny Pink effect. Like,
yes,
wait, this card's actually good. I didn't care about it, but it's good. I have to buy it. So if you want to see more cards to buy, they're still relevant from last month. So go watch it, or your Magic cards will explode.